G1, G2 in both cases, but essentially we can if we want to, and that also adds to the power of your SQL statements. Right? So we can say that select F1, A1, F2, A2. So select all the aggregate operations while grouping by G1, G2, where we don't even want those grouped attributes in our final result. Just use those groups, get me those attributes, just get me those results. I don't want to see what the grouping was done by, right? Okay. We can also have some more complicated expressions in our grouping attributes as well, where we can have arithmetic operations as well. So we can say select mean A plus B minus max C from T group by D times C. And these are more complicated, very uncommon actually, rarely it is used, but it is also still valid. And databases will parse this particular query view. Okay, any questions? Okay. Um, Now, filtering tuples. So remember one thing that we talked about earlier was the ordering in which the your select from where clauses were executed, right? So it was equivalent to this particular method. So select G1, G2, F1, F2, those aggregate operations from R1, R2, where P was this particular relation or algebraic expression that was R1 cross R2 cross R3 and so on, and then perform a select projection there, and then project out the attributes from there, right? So note where the group by clause comes from, right? So the group by clause in this particular expression comes after the select operation or the restrict operation, right? So the group by comes after. So first we have from being executed in your code, then comes where, then comes group by, and then comes your final select operation, right? So that is the order in which your clauses are executed. That also means that the where clause is applied before any grouping occurs, right? So before we are grouping, the where clause is being executed. That means that if we have any aggregate operations in my group by statement, I cannot use that in my where statement. So I cannot, so for example, I cannot say select blah, blah, blah from this table where the sum of the table is this, or the average of the branches is this, where branch name, group by branch name. So let's say, let me get back to the branch name thing. Yes, so here we can't say, we do not have a where here. So we can't say in this particular statement, let's say, let me copy this. So if we have this particular statement, so select branch name average amount as average amount from loan. Let's say where we just want the one value. Let's say that where it is $500, right? So average amount is 500. So let's say from loan, where select from where. So where comes here from where AVG AMT, or for that matter AVG AMT equals 500 group by branch name. So we cannot do something like this. Why can't we do this? Because here the where clause is executed second, or at least before the group by operation is executed. So this cannot be done because there is no average amount yet. We will compute it later, but we can't do it here. We can say where for a non-aggregate operation, we can say, for example, where branch name equals, what was it, Perry Ridge. This is totally fine. This is correct. But the other one was not correct because we were using this aggregate operation and we were using this group by. Group by does not occur until group by does not occur until the where clause is done. So the where cannot access the group by operation. So there is a way of doing this, and that is what we have, the having clause. The having clause is essentially the same as our where clause, but essentially it is applied after the grouping and aggregation operations. So it is exactly the same as our where clause that we have here, but the having clause is executed right. The having clause is executed after the grouping operation is done. And so that also means that it has this procedural tendency that something happens first, some things happen after, and the having happens after. And that also means that we are able to use aggregate functions and their values and in order for our predicates in the having clause, right? So in where we cannot use those clauses or those expressions, but in having we can when we are using group by. Make sense? So for example, let's say that find all the customers with more than one loan. So if that is the case, how do I write that? So select customer name, count star, let's say that the number of loans as num loans from borrower. So that is my table, group by customer name. So I'm grouping by all customers, and then count star would count all the loans that one customer has. And if that count star is greater than one, only print that, right? So that is what we mean when we say find all customers with more than one loan. And that can be written in the having clause that says after the group by, that is having count star greater than one. And remember what count star did? Count star counted all the tuples in a particular group. Okay. Okay. We did not need, I mean, this is not exactly what this question asks for. We did not need the count star in our results here. We just needed the customer name, but just to show that if we run this particular query, we come up with Smith, who has 3 loans in our table. So that was your having clause. We can also have these aggregate statements written, but without using the having clause. Right, so the having clause is executed last. That gave us the benefit of using those aggregate operations and those grouping functions, but we don't need to, and we can also emulate those using nested subqueries. Right. So nested subqueries is essentially a SQL query, a complete SQL query with select from where expression, which is nested within another SQL query. So you can nest a SQL query or embed a SQL query inside a where clause, or you can also embed a SQL query inside a from clause. Since SQL 2003 version, you can also embed SQL queries inside another select query. Okay. Many databases do support this version, however, it is a bit slow. Okay. So when we have SQL subqueries inside our where clauses, it allows us to select very sophisticated queries or select very execute very sophisticated queries on our selection mechanism. Right? We will see some examples next, but essentially we are able to use nested subqueries in our SQL queries. But before we do that, let's talk about subqueries a bit more. So we have the idea of something called a scalar subquery. So if you remember, if we perform this particular operation, that is select max assets from branch, that would get us the amount or the maximum amount for assets from the entire table branch. So given the assets attribute, I would get the maximum asset from that entire set of rows. So that basically is the result is basically a value, that a table that has one row and one column, right? So one row for the maximum value and just one column for the maximum value, right? So this kind of statement in relational algebra is called a scalar value. In SQL queries, these are called just relations. However, they can also be used as scalar values. So we can use the result of this operation to select something from another table. Right, so select the branch name that has the maximum asset. So basically something like this would be like a nested subquery. Okay, so we also have set member. So we also have other tests for your subqueries in your where clause. We can test for set membership using in and not in. That basically checks if the resultant value is within the subquery set of results or not in it. We can also have Boolean tests that check whether the result exists or not, does not exist in a particular set. So these are basically your empty set tests. And very less frequently used, and we are not going to talk about some of these at all, is your set comparison tests that are any, some, and all, that basically check if any of your results match, or if some of your results match, and if all of your results match, and things like that. Um, you can also test for uniqueness. So basically, is the result unique or not? So is it, so we can also do it as, for example, does it occur only once? Is it not unique? That is, does it occur more than once? We can basically use these operations in the having clause as well. Nothing stopping them, because remember, having clause is just another select clause, right? Okay, so let's look at a subquery example. Let's say that we want the name of the branch with the smallest number of assets, right? So the name of the branch that has the smallest number of assets. So we can easily find the smallest number of assets by just saying select min assets from branch. That gets us the minimum most value of an asset in any branch. And then we can use this as a scalar subquery, right? So this becomes a scalar subquery, this particular entire entry, because this results in a particular single value. And then we can use this in a where clause as a subquery. So we want, again, name of the branch with the smallest number of assets. So we can say select branch name from branch where assets equals, and within brackets, another query, that is your subquery, select min assets from branch. So select branch name from branch where assets is the minimum most asset in the branch, right? And this ends up being null. Does that make sense? Any questions about subqueries here, at least for this part? Everyone gets it? Okay. Let's see. What else? We can also use our set membership tests in our subqueries as well. So let's say that we want to find out that select all customer names from depositor relation that also appear in the borrower relation. So basically, our old example that we had, select all customer names that have an account and a loan as well. So both an account and a loan. So if you remember correctly, we actually did that using the intersect operation, right? So select all the customer names that have an account and a loan. So all the intersected values that we had for both of those relations, we displayed those names, right? We can also do it using the in clause, that is select distinct customer name from depositor where customer name in, and when in what set of results. So basically select customer name from borrow. So select this nested subquery gets you the list of customer names from all the customer names that have a loan, right? And then essentially we are saying select customer names from depositor that are in this list that is returned by this query, right? And note that we have distinct here. So can you tell me why distinct is necessary? Well, I do have an answer here. So exactly. So essentially distinct is necessary because a customer name can appear multiple